Welcome to the Fit Strong Women Over 50 podcast, episode number 182. Hi, I'm Chris. Thank you for joining us today.
And I'm Jill. Chris and I are your hosts for this podcast and the founders of the Becoming Ellie community.
We decided to name our community Becoming Ellie because Ellie was the Norse goddess of aging who beat Thor in a wrestling match. Jill and I thought, hey, we want to be like Ellie, fit and strong as we age.
Yes, you can find out more about the Becoming Ellie community and this podcast at our website, becomingellie.com. Ellie is spelled E-L-L-I. You can sign up for our newsletter while you're there, too.
Today, we're talking about mindset with Beverley Glazer. Let's go to the podcast. Today's guest is Beverley Glazer. Jill and I met her through a group of women podcasters who primarily reach out to women over 50. Beverley hosts the podcast Aging with Purpose and Passion.
Besides being a podcaster, Beverley Glazer is a transformational coach and the founder of Reinvent Impossible Inc. She helps high-performing women navigate transitions in life and business.
Beverley helps people to quickly navigate personal and professional challenges and step into their next big chapter with clarity, confidence, and ease. Welcome, Beverley. It's great to talk with you today.
Thanks for inviting me, both Chris and Jill. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
It's great to have you here. Your journey apparently spans over 3 decades as a psychotherapist and coach. What inspired you to focus specifically on empowering women over 50 through your podcast and your coaching program?
Yeah. And it really stems from my private practice where I noticed, and I worked with, and I still do, but I'm not, now I work at home. It's all virtual. Things have changed. And so did I during the pandemic. And what I did at that point was I had to close my office. I was there for so many years. Everybody knew me, and I thought I would die there. But that was the way I shifted. And I'd already been working online, and because my clients were all over the world, so we were connected. But I had time to really pause. And that's when I just was thinking of the amazing people that I served over the years that, of course, women and adult children and, throughout it all. And I also worked with Indigenous communities up north. And I found that throughout everything I've done, women over 50 pay the brunt of it all. We take care of the family. We take care of our partners. If something goes wrong with one, they're there to step up to the plate, to the in-laws, the career, the health issues, you name it. It falls on the shoulders of women. So why am I coaching women over 50? And don't get me wrong, there are men that say, hey, what about me? And I'll do that too.
Yeah, I get that.
Sure. Makes sense.
We have different problems. We really do. And it stems from just really being a woman and the demands that we have just by being who we are. And over 50, we start to, and it's awful to say that, but start to fall apart. And I'm talking physically. And it's not us. It's really not. It's really the societal messages that we've always received that, you have to step down when you're over 50. You should slow down. And now we're saying, hey, we can live over 100. And then you're also saying, but now we have weight loss drugs and we should look like this and we should look like we're 20, but we're not. And we start to see our bodies change and we want to be healthy. And sometimes, you have to make cookies for the grandchildren or whatever. Okay. It's all falls on us. And so we have to kind of deprogram a lot of our programming, saying that we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I help women change their mindset. And it starts with really mindset. We can do everything. We know the tools. We know what to do. Every diet works as long as we work the diet, right? And that's the thing, so why are we on these roller coaster diets, or why are we so struggling that when we've lost this weight? And I've worked with women who are bulimic, and I've worked with women who are anorexic, and women that have to go to the gym, literally have to. It's a mindset that if I do not go and if I do not look like this, I am going to fall apart. It's that feeling that I am not good enough. And so to be healthy has to come from mindset. It's, it's not, oh, I can have that cookie. It's sure you can have that cookie, but why must you if you're going to feel bad afterwards? And it's a whole cycle that goes on with weight, with diet, with feeling of not good enough, or I should look a certain way, or what the heck, I'm over 50, I'm over 60, like I don't have to take care of myself anymore. It's not about have to. It's not about must. It's not about anything other than me. What do I want? And to focus in. And if you want it, you really do, then why are you doing this to yourself? These are inward questions, because we all have the answers on the outside, don't we? It's like, just work out, just eat right. We all have the diets. It's that
Yeah.
simple and that complicated. So that's why I work with women over 50, both Jill and Chris. That's my answer.
Okay.
I know the title of your podcast is Aging with Purpose and Passion, and the tagline, it's described as redefining midlife, reclaiming purpose, reinventing life after 50 and beyond. And in your podcast, you highlight stories of resilience. What common traits have you observed in women who successfully navigate their midlife challenges?
If there was one key, I'd say purpose.
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 Purpose. I'm writing that one down.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because when you have a purpose, you want to get up in the morning. You want to overcome such a thing. You want to overcome that challenge. And I'm thinking right now of someone, she's 79 years old, almost 80. She has breathing tubes. She has COPD. She goes in and out of hospital. But her purpose is to develop this community of older women such as herself. And it's a physical community as well as an online community. And if I was to give it a pitch, I'm going to say it right now because I'm part of the advisory board. And I think everyone should take a look. It's the Golden Light community. And all I'm saying is her purpose, regardless of all her health issues, seriously, I don't know how she does it, but I've seen so many women that have a purpose. Like, I want to leave a legacy. I want to write all my recipes for my grandchildren. And this is the goal. Or I have discovered art. And for me, that is just amazing. Or maybe it's even, oh, I really love this eating healthy and getting into natural foods, or all kinds of different healthful venues that you could go for, and then inviting people over and introducing these things. You need a reason. That it could be travel, whatever it is. You have to find some passion. And seriously, my passion is helping people and getting on podcasts and making my podcast and meeting new people and meeting people such as yourself. And other than that, of course, it's family. Of course, it's everything else that enriches my life. But if you don't have a purpose that's within you, then you're living a life for other people, and that's not enough. It's much like when have worked with plenty of alcoholics and drug addicts and with serious problems. And if they say, or if you can relate it to weight, I should lose weight. Unless you're doing it for yourself, it's not going to happen. I should stop drinking. My doctor says I should stop smoking. I have the patch. Why don't I stop? The big question.
So it's about the why.
Yeah.
I know a lot of women get in there professionally or whatever, that they hit a certain age and they think, I just can't stand to do this work anymore, and I'm going to start doing some other kind of work or start a business or become more philanthropic or whatever. I guess what I would like to know is, can you share a success story from your podcast or practice that exemplifies the power of reinvention in midlife?
Oh, sure can.
Okay.
Yes. Well, there's a few, but one that comes to mind as a client. This was a person who's in finance her whole life. And she reached a certain level where, you hit a plateau. You're doing really well. Clients come to you. Everything is good. Life is good, right? And you've worked really hard for it. And now it's time to retire. And she sees it. She's not ready for that. She may not have to retire, but it's like, okay, the country looks good, but she knows that that's not going to be enough. And yes, she's standing on stages, she's lecturing, she's top of her field, but her what's next is what she was coming to me for. It's like, I know I have more to give. And as we started talking, she was talking about her history and where she comes from. And she was always interested in history and family and your roots. And she realized, she did her genealogy and all that stuff. And she said, oh, I didn't really realize that my family, my father's side came from Ireland. And then she started to take a trip and she started to visit all these different places. And she started to get into genealogy. And she still runs. She has got a terrific clientele. She doesn't change anything. But now she has more of a purpose. She's not feeling, okay, I'm on that treadmill. And by the way, she was also starting, because she was excited about something, she was making sure she was going to go to the gym. He was somebody that never did that. But now she started to feel better, because you start feeling blah. And it's that blah that, although you could be dressed in a red power suit, it's your internal feeling that just maybe there's something missing. And for her, although she goes down to the office, and now, of course, she doesn't have to go downtown to the finance office. She can work part-time there, and everything is hybrid, so she has even more time. And she started to write, and now she's becoming an author and a speaker on genealogy. And this has evolved over time. And of course, she doesn't quit her day job and won't. But she's looking forward to more and more and more of getting deeper into that area, which she was never exposed to. That's incredible. And she's just one person. It's like that, what's next for us? Because at one time, 65, you retired because you're out to pasture. Now the younger ones come on in. Today, we have to change that mindset. Today, it's about being healthy past 50, past 60, past 70, past 80, as long as we can go into our 90s, literally into however far we go. It's really about having a good life today.
The quality of life, yeah.
Quality of life and attitude. And as soon as we start feeling I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm too fat, I'm too old, I'm too this, too that, we say these things to ourselves and we believe it. And we send out that energy too. And other people believe it as well. And you get treated exactly like the energy that you send out.
When a woman's about to enter a new chapter of their life, the empty nest or a career change or a loss of a loved one, something like that. What can she do when she finds she gets stuck in the transition? Just kind of, where should she start to get out of that?
Stuck. I hear that a lot. When we are stuck, all of us, we've hit a wall and we start doing something about it slowly. If you hit the wall and stay there too long, you can become depressed. And if you go to the doctor and you say, I'm depressed, the first thing they're going to start doing is giving you a pill, or they'll say, go for a walk, get out there. The walk and all these things don't cut it. You can try to shovel yourself out. In other words, if I lost my job and I'm trying to get another one. And so what I'm doing instead is I am taking care of myself. I've heard this so many times. Well, I'm going to be active. I'm going up for a job. I'm going to be, sending out 1,000 resumes. I'm going to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm stuck. I'm not getting anywhere, but I'm still going out. I'm doing, and the whole world thinks you're really terrific because look at all the work that you're doing trying to get work. But you're saying, I'm stuck. I'm never going to get that job. It's all that negative thinking. So what we have to do is stop. Instead of the doing, stop. What happened? Do some inner work here. What really is going on? When you start thinking, oh, I have to get a job. I'm stressed out about money. I better get a job. All this pressure, you're sabotaging yourself with your own thinking. You can do it with weight. I have to lose weight. My doctor said. And meanwhile, you're walking into a supermarket buying Cheetos because you have so much anxiety that you have to lose weight that you're going to wait till tomorrow to do it. It's a cycle. And the way we talk to ourselves matters. So when you're stuck, you have to start looking in and start saying, why am I stuck? What's really going on? What has been going right? Maybe you have to put more balance. Maybe you're under so much stress because you're sending out so many resumes and you're so worried. And instead, maybe you check back. And I'm thinking of a story, and it's really very much to the point. This happens to be an episode on the podcast. And this woman who is also, she's a business coach, etc. And she was doing really well in corporate, and everything tanked during the pandemic. And she went crazy. Her whole business went down the tubes. And what she did was she tried to fix it. She was calling people, trying to make an online business, went crazy, and nothing happened. And she didn't know what to do. And so what she did, rather than just arguing with her wife, which was happening, she said, I better get out of here. And she got on her bike. And for 2 weeks, she was just riding and thinking, and because she loves her bike and exercise, and she was doing that. And she spoke to no one, and she listened to no one. And of course, during the pandemic, that was easy to do.
Yeah. Even if you weren't on a bike. Right.
Sure. But she was alone in her thoughts. And what came up was, do I really like this work? And it was, yes, I like helping people, but not the way I'm doing it. And I don't like the pressure of the way I have to work. So what she was doing was changing things around so that your life is fitting today. And I'm going right back to the person sending all those resumes. That's what you have to do when you slow down. You start saying, maybe this job that I'm looking for is not for me. Now, as soon as things go wrong, when you're stuck, it gives you an opportunity to evaluate what went right, what went wrong, what you can find that you can do different. It gives you an opportunity when you look at that. But after it hits you in the face, because it's a real shock when you're stuck, you have to stop rather than continue forging ahead doing the same darn thing over and over on that hamster wheel. So that's a wake-up call every time you're stuck.
It sounds like instead of doing more of what you have been doing, it's better to stop and reevaluate things.
Yeah, do less. You heard that less is more. And what you can do, for instance, back to the, resumes, is put some balance. Now that you're not going from 9 to 5, do less CVs. Maybe you should go to the gym. Maybe you should learn meditation. Maybe you should put more balance into your life so that you're happier. And then you can perhaps look at other job opportunities or look at where your strengths are, or maybe other ideas will come. Maybe I should speak to somebody. Maybe I should get a different twist in my thinking because I'm just tunneling and driving myself crazy and stressing myself out. And all our stressors lead to negative places.
So, are there any specific habits, daily routines, that kind of thing that you might suggest for women to help maintain that sense of purpose, vitality?
Vitality. The question's very difficult to answer because how do you maintain a sense of purpose if you don't have purpose, right? And that's the big one, and I've seen it often. I'm talking to someone. She's a woman in her 80s. She's 85, and she's been through a tremendously heavy divorce. And she came out very well. And you would see, wow, she is so successful, et cetera, et cetera. But it was 40 years she was fighting that man in court.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a long time to.
crazy.
Well, that became her purpose in life, I guess.
Yes. Okay, yes. And although you could say she won, she also lost because emotionally, how draining that was. And what she says is, I don't have a life. I have no purpose. She's a great grandmother. Her life on the outside, no one would know. Like she says, Bev, I say this to you, but no one knows how I feel. I don't go around advertising that. But the feeling is I'm just living my life, but I'm not living. There are days where she, if she doesn't have to do anything, she doesn't really want to do anything, right? It's like there's no purpose. If somebody calls her, she's out for dinner or you know what I mean? But the feeling isn't there. So how do you get a purpose?
Yeah, I was going to say, let's revise my question to how do you get a purpose?
Exactly. How do you get a purpose? You have to dig deep again. What do you love? What do you love? What do you hate? What have you been trained to like and continue to do that really isn't you? Find yourself. Now, when you take a look at it, helping people. It doesn't matter where. A lot of people say, well, I'm not interested in volunteering. No. Okay. Then don't volunteer. But maybe you are interested in helping children. And it's for grandmothers going into school systems is wonderful. They love having, and you could say volunteers or people who are helpers and, or in hospital settings. I don't like calling it a volunteer because very often it becomes a mission. I love to do it. I love to cook for community soup kitchens or whatever you like. Or maybe you take a course and you find an interest that you were only interested in when you were a child, like art. And then you join a community of people who also like to do that. And I have a client also, she worked her whole life. And she said, my children are wonderful and I travel and I go and I visit them, but it's not enough. I'm lonely. And same with friends. Friends have disappeared. Friends may have, moved or are not around anymore, whatever. She loves, loves, loves to create things. And she started a business on Etsy, which is so cool. Okay. Because and it's not as if she needs the money. She loves making things. And so her reward really is that somebody bought what I actually made. And she makes animals. She loves animals. She makes animal clothes
Oh, cute.
yes. And all kinds of cute little collars and things. And what happens if you stop and you look at where your values are? Rather than the oh, poor me mindset or looking to other people and judging yourself, or in the case of the 85-year-old woman, judging how other people's lives are so good and not me. But her life on the outside is quite incredible, I have to tell you. I mean, the man that she was after for 40 years was a billionaire. And so, although was it really worth this feeling of emptiness that she has right now in her heart? It's only there. So what it is really where is my life going? And to anybody that's listening, I say your life is going now. So don't wait. Don't wait for someday. As you move forward today, becomes tomorrow, but don't go past today.
Well, going back to your friend or client or whoever who sells things on Etsy because she likes to make things. So if somebody wants to start something new, how do they start doing that reinvention? I mean, how do they figure out what new thing they want to do? you know?
Yeah, go back to where you were when you were a child, because it was after that when the world kicked in and said, you're really good in math, and you went in that direction, or the world went, this way, and you say, you'll never be good working with your hands, or some mother said, I don't want you to be a seamstress like me, although you like sewing, maybe, you should not. Get rid of all that stuff. Go back to who that kid was. What kind of toys did she or he play with? What was going on? And you can't say, oh, I'll never be a dancer, right? No, you are not going to be, ballerina. I've always wanted to be that kind of thing. No, but if you like music and if you like dance, or I know of someone who, she sang opera today. She teaches older women just to sing in the bathroom, loud and proud, that kind of thing. And what she does is she has a community online of just people who just want to sing. And we're always told along the way, you're not good enough. No, you can't get into choir, like that kind of thing. So go right back to the basics. What did you love to do before society told you you're not good enough? And it's there, it's still in you, and you'll find something, some purpose.
I think a lot of people were told not just necessarily that they weren't good enough, but that like you're never going to make a living as a singer or as an artist or
Right.
as whatever. So you need to do something practical,
Right.
which many of us did, but
I would say most of us did.
yeah. Yes.
And we have to be realistic. But today, or when you go after 50, and you don't have to just, leave it all. Like I'm telling you about the woman that once wanted to write and has become a writer and genealogist and all that, speaker. She's still working. She's continuing on the track that she always did. She didn't do anything, totally off the wall and reject it all. She makes a terrific salary. And she's not going to throw that away.
It in, yes.
No, but when I said to her, well, you can be a writer, she looked at me like I was from Mars. And of course, we started on that track to be able to do both. And then she also said, and I want to lose weight. And I said, and why not? And that kind of thing also was a gradual evolution. She was going to the gym, and it was when she was at work, and now that she's on hybrid, well, she stopped going to the gym. You know the drill. It's on again, off again. But once she started to say, no, this matters, and started to own it, she started to set up a routine and do it for herself. And now it's not an effort anymore. And that's the key. When you own something, whether it's a purpose, and that's a big word, whether it's just, I love getting up in the morning and making dog collars, which I prefer rather than a purpose. What it is you're just having a good time. And she enjoys this. This is somebody that's very much an introvert. And so just the whole idea of why don't you have an online business? It's like, she has an online business, but if you say, why don't you go into an online business? That can be very threatening. But if you're doing little things in baby steps, before you know it, you can evolve. And it's the same even with volunteering. You keep going, the people start knowing you. As they start knowing you, et cetera, or dance for that matter. There is dance today. This is my next podcast. She has a whole program. She has these facilitators all over the world teaching movement, but not even teaching. It's even people with disabilities that are moving to the music and expressing their feelings through music. And I'm sure there are opportunities online for you to find something that will give you value. And even if it's online, don't discredit it. You can make such wonderful friendships online without saying, I don't know these people. You do end up knowing these people, and they're marvelous. They're all over the world as I'm talking to you guys.
Right. Right. It's funny how one thing leads to another,
Yes. It's snowball effect. Yes.
Yeah, and it's hard to take that first step because you don't know where the path is going to lead.
And the good thing is you don't know where the path is.
That is the good thing. Right, right.
So what happens when you say, okay, when I was a kid, I wanted to write books. So you sit down and you start practicing writing or whatever, and then you think, you know what? I hate this.
Yeah. It
This
won't
feels like
happen.
work.
Yeah, exactly. It won't happen. But if you start by journaling and just talking to the page and then gradually enjoying it, if you enjoy it, that's one thing. You have to like what you do. If you're going to say, okay, I'm going to sit down and write a book. Oh no, that I can see is the most tedious thing. I don't think will ever, ever, ever happen. But if you start saying, and this is also a true story. This was a client who realized how abusive her family was, but the stories that came out of it can be very, very funny. And so what she started to do is just writing stories, and that was something that I encouraged her to do, just writing stories about the good things that happened to have been hysterically funny. And they were. And she's a reader. And she loves it. And she said, I always wanted to be a writer. But that, of course, is a whole different thing. But she's big on Goodreads and all that. And she loves reading. And so she said, okay. And she just started with one story. It wasn't a chapter, nothing. It was just one story. And she was getting into it because she loved it. And then she was thinking of another story and another story. And guess what? Before you know it, you do have a book in there. You can change it. You can make things happen, but it's your book, your way. And even if she doesn't get it published ever, she's had a wonderful time with the stories, and she could leave it to her nieces and nephews. And these were the aha moments, the funny moments that went on in our crazy childhood. It's just all attitude. But if you say, no, I'm going to sit down and write a book and I'm going to have a plan and this is it. And it's just, you know what I mean?
I've got to get published, and oh my gosh.
Never.
Well, how often do people decide, I really don't like, I always thought I wanted to do this, but I don't like it. So now I have to find a different purpose. How often does that happen?
I don't know what you mean by purpose. Often
Well,
it's
so like if there's
career.
I'm saying, okay, my goal or whatever, I am trying to find what gives me joy. And I think that maybe it'll be art. I'm going to try to paint. And I do it for a few months and I think, you know what? This really isn't satisfying what I really want to be doing.
Right.
So I need to try something else.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. Okay. If you're so gung-ho on finding your purpose, you won't find it.
Okay.
Okay. What you have to do is find something you love. Try it on. Does it fit? Much like going to a gym. Does this fit for you? These people work for you, right? And is it really, I'm thinking of another client, whatever. If it doesn't work, it doesn't mean that you discount the whole thing. It's just one gym. Try another.
Right. Okay. Or if you think I'm going to do yoga and then you think, you know what? I really don't like yoga. I want to go do Pilates.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If you're interested in meditation or Tai Chi, some can work, some don't. You have to find what's right for you. And that's what we were talking about at direction. If you are told to do this to find that, it won't work. And this is why so many diets don't work, because we are told you must do this, you must do that, X, Y, Z. And you may hate broccoli or hate counting points or whatever, right? You have to find something that works for you and to understand that you do have intelligence and not all the experts know everything. And so you have to look with what does work for you. And maybe doodling is something that you love to do. And believe it or not, cartooning can come out of that. And then maybe you want to take a course that you're doing, and then maybe it just evolves. Okay. And I know of people, and particularly older people without any art training at all, have always been doing something specific. And before they know it, they just, now you're free. You don't have the pressures of raising children. You don't have the pressures of, of all kinds of other things. You have to take a look at your life and what do I have time for? And put that in. Find the joy that you have. If it was always art, if it was always music, don't just go full steam ahead down the path. Start deviating a little. Don't do all these shoulds. Set up boundaries.
So it sounds like more horizontal than deep.
Oh, yeah.
Go wide and try different kinds of art or different kind of dance or different kinds of
Yes.
things, classes or something.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
But you have to bring in the joy in your life.
Right.
And if it's not joyful, you don't do it. And that's what's wonderful about our podcast group. Each and every one of us just loves to do that. Okay. Did it become a mission? Did I know I'd be doing 130 podcasts? No.
Right. So are there any mindset traps that women over 50 tend to fall into? And I'm thinking of the self-doubt or particularly the loss of identity of someone whose career has ended or, outside of their choice. I know that can happen to someone, and I've had some friends that happened to. Are there simple ways to build a healthier mindset? You said something about baby steps, but how do you get yourself out of that?
To get yourself out of that trap,
funk. Yes.
that funk.
Yeah. The loss of identity, the self-doubt.
Yeah. The loss of identity, the self-doubt usually has to do, just say it, even self-doubt, right? These are the stories and the things we say to ourselves. It's not real. We beat ourselves up all the time with the stories that we say to ourselves. We would never say it to anyone else, but we say it to ourselves. And we talk viciously to ourselves. And so what we do is we keep ourselves down. Just a case in point, I couldn't find the link to the podcast, right? I went through everywhere. I said to myself before I reached out, you idiot.
Oh. Gee, if I knew that, I would have sent the link a lot sooner, the reminder.
No. I say these things to myself all the time. Okay. So it's those things. To your point, when you catch yourself saying these things, okay, and we say it all the time, right? All the time, that voice in your head. This is kind of just a little trick. Say to yourself, that's the voice of yesterday.
That's the voice of yesterday.
And when you hear yourself saying certain things, that's the voice of yesterday. Then what it is, and you can say it every single day, what do I say to myself today? When you're saying back to everything, I can't, that has to be the voice of yesterday. It's like, okay, what am I saying today? Today I can. Today is going to be a good day. Today I'm going to take care of myself. Today I'm going to go to the gym. Today I'm going to take that walk. Rather than, I can't take the walk. Oh, really? Do you have shoes? Do you have 2 legs? There are people with less than that that take that walk, right? The attitude and what we say to ourselves matters more than anything. And most likely, the parent in your head is there telling you you're not good enough. You can't. You're lazy. What are you doing walking around looking like that? All that kind of stuff. So if you use that little voice of yesterday, Trip, catch what you say to yourself and you can move on.
Like adding the word yet to the end of a...
Absolutely. Turn it around. Push yourself, of course. Be that kind person to yourself because the voice of yesterday is going to come up. Believe me.
Ageism can impact self-perception. So how do we combat society's stereotypes and affirm our value? how does ageism affect someone's search for their passion and their purpose? How do we get over that?
That, once again, is that voice. I'm thinking of a woman. I met her at the hairdresser years ago. She was getting her hair done. This is a woman who's a professor. She was getting her hair done. She's here. I'm in Canada, Montreal. She's a professor at McGill. She's a well-known neurologist. She lectures. She works. 100 years old.
Oh, wow.
At your hairdressers?
At my hairdressers. McGill University was making her this tremendous birthday where she spoke all over the world. And she was coming in with her student who happened to have been 75 years ago, okay, to make sure that she wouldn't fall or anything would go wrong because they were having this huge event with people from all over the world. She brought in tremendous money to the university. This woman does not go to the hairdresser anymore. However, I have to tell you today, she's 107.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Exactly. She kept on working even though she was 100. She did it differently. This was her passion. She refused to retire. She could write, she could record, she could do something. So when you think you're invisible, you are. When you feel you have a voice and you can talk and you can be and you have value, then you are relevant. It's your perception of yourself. That's all it is. So if you're comparing yourself to your 30-year-old self, you're going to lose the battle. But if you're comparing yourself to yourself, there's no comparison. Don't judge. Don't judge other people. And for sure, don't compare your life with someone else. When I'm taking a look at that woman I told you that fought for 40 years, and you take a look at her life, I'm sure, a multimillionaire, right? Her life looks like just that. She travels, she does, she is. But for her, she is so not happy. It's not about the money. It's about what she sees his ex has, his wife has, and which is billions. Her anger, her resentment, her feeling that I was not good enough. I was rejected. Her fight, her 40 years. Is she happy? No. So as soon as you compare, you've lost because other people's lives look better. And on the outside, hers looks fantastic. We do not know what other people are going through, but we do know what we are going through. If you choose to be invisible, you won't have a voice because you won't say anything. Or if you say, I don't matter, you won't matter. Or if you say nobody cares, nobody will. What it is if nobody cares, go out and reach out to other people and you do the caring. Do what you need. If you feel you're invisible, make yourself visible. Talk. You don't have to be, dramatic. You don't have to shine a light. You don't have to say too much. But what you say always has meaning. And if you say, it doesn't really matter, let someone else be the judge. That's that voice of yesterday. Everyone listening, your voice of today is now. And so change it. That's all it's about. That's all it's about. It's all mindset.
If our listeners want to find out more information about you, your work, and any resources to support their journey, where would they go?
Well, actually, it's Reinvent Impossible, and it's been impossible to keep updating my website, but you will have the phone number there. You will have, and people can reach out to me, by the way. And when I say the phone number or you can get an appointment, I always help people. I always serve people and give them 15 minutes. Okay. You do not have to continue to work with me. And I'm not going to give you like some pitch at the end ever, 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 because I may have nothing to give you, or you may not even want to talk to me. It has nothing to do with that. But I can certainly in 15 minutes put people on the right track. So you can find that. You can also find a link. I don't know if you probably are going to have that in your show notes, which is, yes, this everybody can get. It's From Stuck to Unstoppable. And that is a checklist. You can get that. And afterwards, I do send you emails, and those emails will help you change your mindset and to change your thinking. So I would say the best thing is to go into your show notes or go into my website, Reinvent Impossible, give me a call or read the stuff that I have on there, which chances are have changed by the time I'm saying this. But that's the way to reach me. Pretty well from stuck to unstopped.
Great. Well, we will definitely put the link to your resources from stuck to unstoppable with the link there, and of course to your website as well. It's been great talking with you today, Beverly. Thank you so much for being part of the podcast.
Thanks so much, Jill and Chris.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. We'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So it was interesting when Beverly was talking about going back to when you were a child and, what made you light up with happiness or flow or whatever you want to call that, when you really like to just do something and time kind of escapes you. And I kept thinking when she was talking about that, about bike riding, because I loved riding my bike especially riding my bike with friends when I was a young kid. That really hit home for me because I know I love riding my bike. It's just a great experience, but it has a purpose, but it's fun. I mean, and the purpose might be short, like where we're going and, the next restaurant we're stopping at, but ultimately the purpose is staying in shape and doing something that I love to exercise, because exercise just for exercise is not really fun. It's much more fun when you do something you love. And I think we've heard that over and over, throughout the years, talking with different guests on our podcast.
We talked to somebody recently who we were talking about fitness, and she said, go back to what you liked doing when you were a kid. Now, Beverly is talking about, it doesn't have to be fitness. It was, whatever your passion is think about what you wanted to be as a child or what you wanted to do. And I was just like, oh, there's a lot of people who were like, wanted to be astronauts or.
Well, I remember I wanted a horse so bad when I was a kid, but I really don't want a horse right now.
I was going to own a horse farm.
Yeah.
And it was going to be called Winners because we were going to win at horse racing.
That's so fun. Well, I just really liked ponies and horses and stuff when I was a kid, but the thought of spending all this money taking care of a horse, I mean, I've become way more of a realist now.
Well, but you could go take a horseback riding lesson.
I could. And I guess I really loved dogs too when I was a kid, and now I have a dog. I've had a dog since, I don't know, probably 30 years now of having dogs. So that definitely plays in. And having a purpose with a dog, I mean, you got to get up, you got to take care of that dog, take her out, give her walks. It does provide a purpose. But I think she was talking about a bigger purpose,
Right. But that was the thing. You can't just go out and say, all right, now I have a purpose. You have to just figure out what you enjoy and how you want to spend your time.
Right. Well, I know that at our library, there's a lot of classes that you can take to kind of see if you like something. And, we've done that. Jill, you and I have gone to a couple different classes about podcasting and things like that. And that's one of the things I do love is this podcast. So, maybe that's.
Yeah. We went and learned about some software and whatever there.
Yeah. Technology things that are very helpful along the way.
And I took that class at the University of Akron on nonfiction creative writing, which I really enjoyed. It was a lot of fun, and writing was something I really liked to do as a child.
Yeah.
It kind of made sense.
Yeah. Nonfiction writing is way different than fiction writing.
Well, yes, but the whole point of the nonfiction creative writing is that you use some of the artistic or stylistic things of fiction writing in your nonfiction. So it's true. It has to be true, but it doesn't have to be boring.
Got it. Yeah. I did some nonfiction writing, a lot of nonfiction writing, I guess I should say, when I did my blog post about marketing. I started a blog in 2008 that went forever. But I'm less interested in that kind of stuff now. I think if I was going to try writing, I would try fiction writing. Not that I'd be really good at it, but that would be more fun to me. I don't know.
Yeah. I would say. I joined a website called Fan Story, and it's for writers. And so I sometimes write these silly little poems, a haiku or whatever.
Uh-huh.
It's fun. It's creative in a very non-competitive way, though they do have contests. But I mean, it's just fun. It's
Yeah.
not. I'm
Yeah.
not going to ever make a living as a poet. Let's just say that.
Well,
But
when I think of poetry, I think, ooh, I couldn't do that. But then I think poetry is actually, or songs and music is actually poetry in a way, only it's put to a beat and everything else. So
yeah, Bob Dylan won the Nobel Prize for Literature.
there you go. There you go. So, it is definitely ways to expand your mind and focus on a different attitude. And I think that was a point that Beverly was making too, that you've got to do little tricks in your mind to get into the right attitude when you're facing a challenging time. Like, that's the voice of yesterday. What am I going to say to myself today?
That's a good one because she was right. We do say things to ourselves that we would never say to other people. And I think that's a good way to frame it. That's the voice of yesterday.
Especially when we're trying new things. I've noticed that for myself, whether it's new ways of exercising or, like going to a class, a dance class, I'm very critical of myself. I don't give myself a chance.
If you took me to your dance class, you would not say to me, boy, you stink at this.
Yeah, I wouldn't be going, oh, you have 2 left feet. Can't you get the beat?
Yeah.
But,
What's wrong
that
with
kind
you,
of
Jill?
stuff does go in my head. So,
But yes, and if you took me, I would be saying those things to myself, but I would not say them to you.
Yep. So I think I'm going to take a look and go to her website, Reinvent Impossible, and download that checklist and see what I can make of that. Because, new challenges and opening new things, that's a way to keep your brain active and ultimately discover something you really like. Because you don't know where the path is going to take you. You really don't.
You don't. And I think it's also perfectly fine to try something, do something for a while, and then decide, you know what, this isn't it.
Yeah,
This isn't giving
for me.
This isn't giving me joy.
Yeah, when you find yourself giving the big sigh halfway through it, it's not like this is the one fun thing.
Yeah. But we all have different ways of approaching things. So that's the important.
Yep. And trying new things is good. I happen to really like a routine when I'm doing things I really love. When life hands you a change and you've got to adjust, it's good to try new things and find something else.
Right. If you're listening, let Chris and me know if you have any thoughts on our talk with Beverly about mindset.
Getting your passion and your purpose.
Yeah, passion, what you wanted to do as a kid and what you're doing now, and any kind of nice words you learned to say to yourself.
That's what I was going to say. Share your mantras with me so that I know how to parent myself, being kind to myself.
There you go.
Love to hear that kind of thing. We'd love to hear from you. And you can leave us a message at becomingellie.com or on our social media, Becoming Ellie on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, and LinkedIn.
And please consider joining our private Becoming Ellie Facebook group.
If you like listening to our podcast, you may also enjoy The Ageless Traveler, hosted by Adrienne Berg. It's the #1 resource for the 60-plus active traveler to never stop traveling. She covers destinations, health and wellness travel, luxury travel for less, companionship pathways, solo, grandparent, and volunteering, as well as fighting ageism in tourism and living the very good life.
To listen to the podcast, visit the website www.agelesstraveler.com.
It was great talking with you today, Jill. I'm looking forward to our next episode of the Fit Strong Women Over 50 podcast.
I am too. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.